Good morning to all the participants from South Africa and a warm good afternoon to all the participants from India. We would be starting the program very soon. Thank you all for joining us. Are we audible? Can someone please confirm?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you.
Good morning to the participants from South Africa. A warm welcome to the virtual buyer-seller meet for Indian spices with focus on South Africa. At the outset, we at Spices Board are delighted to extend our sincere gratitude to the officials of Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, South Africa, for associating with board for conducting this BSM. For the general information of the participants are requested to keep their mic on mute You may switch on the audio and video when you start speaking. Also, switch off the audio and webcam when you finish talking. As we all are aware, as you all are aware, Spices Board, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, is the flagship organization for the development and worldwide promotion of Indian spices. The board is an international link between the Indian exporters and the importers abroad. The board has been spearheading activities for excellence of Indian spices involving every segment of the industry. India and South Africa have since developed close strategic, cultural, and economic ties. In the recent years, the bilateral trade between the countries has grown exponentially. India, on an average, exports 14,000 metric ton of spices to South Africa annually, valued at 33.72 million US dollar, which accounts 1.11% of the volume and 1% in value of total India spice exports. With a view to further promote the export of Indian spices to South Africa, Spices Board, in association with Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, is organizing this online buyer-seller meet. The program envisages to provide a common platform for buyers and sellers of the industry to interact directly and establish effective business linkages and to facilitate the Indian spice trade between India and South Africa. More than 40 importers from South Africa and 200 spice exporters from India are attending this event. On this significant event, we have with us Ms. Anju Ranjan IFS, Consul General of India, Johannesburg, Mr. D. Satyan IFS, Secretary, Spices Board, India, Ms. Tara Padak, Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, Ms. Padma Ganesh, Deputy Secretary, Foreign Trade, Africa, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Mr. B.N. Jha, Director, Marketing, Spices Board, Ms. Salmina, Director, Food Import and Export Standards, Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Government of South Africa. With this, we will move on to the formal program. May I now invite Mr. Nidhin Jo, Deputy Director, Spices Board, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Thank you, Shaiba. Respected dignitaries, Ms. Anju Ranjan IFS, Consul General of India, Johannesburg, Mr. D. Satyan IFS, Secretary, Spice Board, India, Ms. Tara Patak, Consul, Commerce and Press, Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, Ms. Padma Ganesh, Deputy Secretary, Foreign Trade, Africa, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Ms. Salamina Melaine, Director, Food Import and Export Standards, Government of South Africa, Mr. B.N. Jha, Director, Marketing, Spice Board, officials of the Consulate General of India, the buyers from South Africa and the Indian exporters, and my dear friends. As we all know, India is the largest producer, consumer, as well as exporter of spices in the world. The Indian spices are renowned across the world for their rich intrinsic qualities since time immemorial. The exports of spices have shown a tremendous growth despite even during the global pandemic situation. About Spices Board, the board under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, is the flagship organization for the development and worldwide promotion of Indian spices. The board is an international link between the Indian exporters and the importers across the globe. And it has been spearheading activities for excellence of Indian spices involving every segment of the industry. The Indian spice sector has made quality, food safety, and hygiene the cornerstone for its development and promotional strategies. Further, we look forward to develop, promote, and regulate export of spices and undertake programs and projects for enhancing quality, food safety, and traceability in exports. South Africa is a name the people of India which are quite familiar even from their childhood, school days, I should say, because Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, he had spent a considerable period of his life during his studies in South Africa, which through our textbooks, probably that would mostly be the, I can say that would be the first memory, first recollection of South Africa for we Indians, as we learn it during our initial days. Now, the country is India's largest trading partner in the sub-Saharan African region after Nigeria. And India exports from India to South Africa have seen more than a threefold increase in the last 10 years, which points to the strong relationship and evolving positive scenario in trade and commerce between both the countries. There is a substantial potential for further promotion of trade between the countries, and both the countries are coordinating with each other and working on a vision emphasized on doubling the bilateral trade in the next few years. About spice trade, India's average export of spices to South Africa is close to 15,000 metric tons, valued at around 34 million US dollars. And this accounts for more than 1%, both in volume and value of spice exports from the country. With the view to further promote the export of Indian spices to South Africa, the board, in association with the Consulate General of India at Johannesburg, is organizing this online bioseller meet today. With this, let me venture to my official responsibility of welcoming the dignitaries and other participants to this bioseller meet. At first, I warmly welcome Ms. Anju Ranjan, IFS, Consul General of India to Johannesburg. Welcome, Madam. Now, may I welcome Sri D. Satyan, Secretary Spice Board India, who has been a constant pillar of support for the board in carrying out similar programs so as to take the flavor of Indian spices far and wide. I welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Salamina Melaine, Director of Food Import and Export Standards, Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Government of South Africa. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. Now, may I welcome Ms. Tara Pathak, Consul, Commerce and Press, Consulate General of India at Johannesburg, and the entire team from the consulate who are associated with the board and taken steps for organizing this program today. I welcome you, ma'am. Now, may I welcome Mr. Basit Narayan Jha, Director Marketing Spices Board, to this International Bioseller Meet. Thank you. I would also like to welcome the Deputy Secretary, FT Africa, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Ms. Padma Ganesh, who has accepted our invitation and who has joined us for this International Bioseller Meet. I welcome you, ma'am. Now, I would like to welcome all the buyers and representatives from South Africa who have joined this program. Also, I would like to welcome all the exporters from India. And as we know, without the participation of the buyers and sellers, who are the actual stakeholders in this program would not be effective. So we are indeed glad to note the overwhelming response from both sides to this International Bioseller Meet. I welcome you all, both the buyers as well as sellers who are on board with us today. Now, before winding up the welcome speech, we express our sincere regret for the slight delay in commencing the program, which happened due to some technical glitch. As such, from the Spice Board side, we have been organizing bioseller meets, online bioseller meets quite frequently. This is in fact the 10th International Bioseller Meet, which we have done this year. Though we have taken in all prior steps to ensure that such glitches doesn't happen at times. It happens. So I once again express my sincere regret for the technical glitch which has happened at the start of the program, and I hope to move on without any further glitches. Now, with this, let me conclude my words. I hope this B2B meeting would help in establishing effective business linkages and would further strengthen the spice trade between both India and South Africa. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Mr. D. Satyan IFS, Secretary, Spices Board, India, to deliver the special address.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, on behalf of Spices Board, once again, a warm welcome to all the participants. A very warm good morning to the friends who are joining us from South Africa for this event, and a warm good afternoon to our friends from India joining us. Ms. Anju Ranjan, IFS Consul General of India. Ms. Salamina Melaine, Director, Food Import and Export Standards, Department of Agriculture, Government of South Africa. The representative from the Commerce Ministry, Ma'am Padma Ganesh, Deputy Secretary, FT Africa. My colleagues at Spices Board, Mr. Basit Narayan Jha, Director Marketing, Mr. Nitin Jo, and other colleagues. And very importantly, the spice trading community, the spice exporters from India, the spice traders from South Africa who are with us today for this event. I would like to thank you all for joining us for this International Buyer-Seller Meet. As has been mentioned, this is the 10th such International Buyer-Seller Meet that Spices Board is organizing within this financial year. We have identified such forums as effective ways to foster further spice trade and to promote spices exports to the world. We all know that India is the largest spice exporter in the world, and also India is the largest producer and consumer of spices. Spices Board is the flagship organization under the Ministry of Commerce responsible for export promotion of Indian spices. We have about 52 scheduled spices in our basket, for which the board is taking active steps towards export promotion in international markets. But if we actually see the strength of India comes from the rich repertoire or variety that we have in spices. Records say that we have more than 75 different species or varieties of spices that is known to world trade. So the strength is that in India, almost each and every state or union territory has the potential to supply 1 or 2 spices for exports or for the consumption of the world. Ever since, I mean, if we trace the history also, it is spices. It was spices which has brought voyagers to India and led to the discovery of Indian shores. It was in 1498, Vasco da Gama landed in on Indian shores in search of spices. So spices, when it comes to Indian history, has a very special significance, which led to the integration of Indian continent with the rest of the world and paved way for the modern era of trade. And I'm happy to inform all of you that the spices exports from India has been doing exceedingly well, and it's growing at a very good pace in the recent years. And during the last financial year 2021, the spices exports from India has touched a historic high of 4.1 billion US dollars. When we talk about Indian spice exports to the African region, this region remains a key trading zone for Indian spices. And within the African zone, South Africa is the key destination for Indian spices. When we talk about the connection, the ties between India and South Africa, it is historic and it runs back to several centuries. And we have a very strong diaspora. We have a very strong Indian diaspora in South Africa now. And we have very strong cultural as well as political ties, which is spanning for over several centuries now. So all these augur well for trade between these two countries. And I'm happy to note that spices have specific potential, great potential in South Africa, and we can do much more to increase the export of Indian spices and make it available to a wider zone in the African region, and especially South Africa. And I have a little bit of data before me, which shows that a lot of spices are getting exported in the recent years. Among them, the major spice items are spice oils and oleoresins, chilies, cumin, turmeric, coriander, curry powder, etc. And there are about 60 registered Indian spice exporters who are exporting spices to South Africa at present. And considering the scope, there is a huge opportunity for new entrepreneurs also to enter into the field of spices exports, and Spices Board is ready to support them. We have many programs. We frequently run entrepreneurship development programs, EDPs, across the country. And recently we have launched an innovative digital platform titled Spicexchangeindia to facilitate export of spices from India and to help the Indian spice exporters to easily reach out using the digital technology to their advantage on a 24/7 basis to easily reach out the spice trade counterparts from the other countries. And it's very heartening to note that about 200 Indian spice exporters and about 50 spice traders from South Africa have registered to attend this particular international buyer-seller meet. I'm sure this will not be, it would not have become a reality, but for the strong support that we have received from the Indian Consulate General of India at Johannesburg. And I use this opportunity to convey the sincere thanks from Spices Board to the Consulate General Office in Johannesburg for the strong support that they have extended to organize this program. So with this, I would like to end my talk. And before that, I would like to wish all the participants a very fruitful meeting and a profitable trade prospects through further negotiations and contact. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Ms. Padma Ganesh, Deputy Secretary, Foreign Trade Africa, Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, to address the gathering.
Mute. And probably you are on mute.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Namaskar. Ms. Anju Ranjan, ma'am, Consul General India, Johannesburg. Shri Satyanji, Secretary, Spices Board. other participants, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, and namaskar. I am happy and honored to speak at this virtual buyer seller meet for Indian spices with focus on South Africa. It is heartening to note that Spices Board, which is the autonomous body under Department of Commerce, spearheading activities for excellence of Indian spices, is organizing the buyer seller meet in association with High Commission of India, Johannesburg, South Africa. The relationship of India and Africa is rooted in deep historical and political ties. The nature of India-Africa bilateral engagement is diverse, encompassing areas pertaining to education, healthcare, science, technology, infrastructure, and capacity building. India's relationship with Africa has assumed greater importance during the COVID pandemic as we stood together to support each other. When we speak of trade with Africa, exports from India to Africa in 2020-21 was at US dollar 27.73 billion, and imports from Africa stood at US dollar 28.18 billion. That is, our bilateral trade was registered at around USD 56 billion. Among the African nations, as you said, South Africa is the largest trading partner of India with a total trade of 11.5 billion US dollar in 2020-21, which accounts for more than 20% of our total trade with Africa in the year. South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Tanzania, Ghana, Angola, Guinea, and Kenya had a combined share of about 63% of the total India's trade with Africa. If we see our trade with South Africa in the current year, there has been a significant growth in the bilateral trade with South Africa in April 21 to January 22 as compared to the corresponding period last year. India's exports to South Africa recorded a growth of around 49% from US dollar 3.30 billion in April 20 to January 21 to US dollar 4.91 billion in April 21 to January 22. Now, coming to spices, as you said, India is the largest producer, consumer, and exporter of spices of the world. Indian spices have created a niche for itself through its historical allure and attributed quality parameters. Though spices are consumed in small quantities, they are used in a wide range of food products and therefore constitute a unique segment within the food sector. The usage of spices and herbs by consumers is on the rise because these products are appreciated as completely natural ingredients rather than artificial additives. We know that spices not only give food flavor, but they have tremendous medicinal power and can be very potent in their effects. In 2020-21, as Secretary Spices Board observed, India's spice exports scaled the landmark level of 4.1 billion US dollar in value realization, recording the growth rate of 37% in volume and 11% in dollar terms of value over the previous year. This was despite the global pandemic situation. India, on an average, exports around 15,000 metric tons of spices to South Africa annually, valued at around 34 million US dollar, accounting for 1% in both volume and value of India's total spice exports. Considering this, with the total imports of spices by South Africa, this indicates that there is ample scope for enhancement of our trade with South Africa in this area. The world economy is rebounding rapidly from the impact of COVID pandemic, and this provides an opportunity for us to fast track through growth of exports. As per World Bank report, India's economy is expected to expand by 8.3% in fiscal year 21-22. Likewise, the South African economy is also geared towards recovery. South Africa also accounts for a significant share in the intra-African trade. Therefore, the implementation of African Continental Free Trade Agreement endorsed by South Africa will also help in boosting our trade not only with South Africa, but with the region as a whole. At the end, I would like to express my congratulations to Spices Board for the continuous efforts being made for boosting export of Indian spices. I hope that this online buyer-seller meet for Indian spices with focus on South Africa, organized by the Spices Board in association with our mission in Johannesburg, which will have participation of top Indian spice exporters, leading importers in South Africa, trade associations, chambers of commerce, leading supermarket chains, etc., will definitely open up new opportunities towards enhancing our trade with Africa. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I invite Ms. Anju Ranjan IFS, Consul General of India, Johannesburg, for the formal inauguration of the Vice-Chancellor meet and to deliver the inaugural address.
Am I visible and audible, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Honorable Secretary, Spices Board of India, Mr. D. Satyan, our friend in Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Padma, my colleague Tara Patak, and other members of the Spices Board of India. It's really a great pleasure for us to join hands with Spices Board of India and organize this buyer-seller meet. I think this is the first buyer-seller meet we are doing for spices. And I give the credit to the secretary, Mr. Satyan, who came forward and then sent us a mail that we want to do a buyer-seller meet and all. So he has started something very spicy, and it's not going to end here. I have to tell you a story how these Indian spices are very popular in South Africa. You have already proven with your data and information and then ongoing trade. You, one of the member, basically Nitin, also mentioned about arrival of Mahatma Gandhi in South Africa, his childhood memory. But before Mahatma Gandhi also, the people from India came in South Africa first as slaves and later as indentured labor. The first ship came to South Africa carrying around 450 people in 1860, Toro, that ship. And it carried 60% men and 40% women and children. And that started settlement of Indian community in Durban, which that time it used to be called Natal. And what they used to miss from India, the spices. And every time the new ship will come, they will get the new loads of spices. That time you can imagine the mode of transport was not by air or something like that. So how difficult it was. But this is the endurance of Indian community. Wherever they go, they don't leave their food, they don't leave their culture. They always carry their food and always carried their spices. And that's how the Indian spices in South Africa became very popular. Indian has also devised their own dish, depending on this thing. Like there is a very popular dish called Bani Chow. Nobody must be knowing outside South Africa. I'm not asking the buyers here. They are much aware of that. This is a spicy mutton curry, which is like hold into a half loaf of the bread. So the Durban Indian invented this dish because they were employing local population for their agriculture field and then all. So they invented the dish. It is very filling and very tasty. And this uses a lot of Indian spices. So through these kind of dishes, they introduce the spices into the Black community in South Africa. So that's how the Indian spices is not only popular. The point I wanted to tell you, it is not only popular for the Indian community, which is 1.5 million here, but also for the Black and white community in South Africa. And all over world, the Indian, wherever they went, they introduced. The curry is a very, very famous name nowadays. Everywhere you go in, I was in UK and I saw more than 2,000 Indian restaurants called curry is found here. The chicken curry and this masala tikka. So all this masala is like, it's an Indonesian word. It's masala means problem in Indonesia, but that has replaced it Indian masala, So masala means spices here. So the name also was retained Indian name. And that also that shows that how much people love the Indian spices. So, sir, when you are doing a buyer-seller meet with South Africa, you are doing with the right kind of country. As Padma mentioned, that due to the SACU arrangement, South African Custom Union arrangement, 5 countries are taking their goods from South Africa. So South Africa import it from India, and then these countries are like, buying the goods from South Africa on the same custom values. So South Africa always get the custom preference when they are importing things outside, all the goods and services outside the African continent. I will not splash lot of figures to you, but I must boast the South African economy. South Africa is the second largest economy in the African continent, and its GDP is US dollar 350 billion. It's a diversified economy, but mostly dependent on services and commodities. So I just, with industrial activities are around 29% of the GDP, services are 63%. And in the sub-Saharan region, South Africa is our second trading partner after Nigeria. I think we'll surpass Nigeria very soon if we organize this kind of buyer-seller meet quite often. And I want to do that. So we have the trade relations, as I mentioned, from long ago, before the formal channel established. The trade is happening between the two countries. And now, as Padma mentioned, that our trade figure has surpassed in the last 5-6 years. It is now 11.6 billion, the bilateral trade. This is the first time we are touching the record. And despite the COVID, the trade has increased in the spices. So that is a very, very welcome sign that shows that how much the Indian spices are being loved and imported in South Africa. So we have a lot of major companies. So if somebody, those who are like seller and buyer who are accumulated here today, if they want to establish some kind of companies here in the area of spices, we are here to help you to establish something like that. Instead of trading house, you can also think of company with a local partnership. We already have more than 150 Indian companies in South Africa, and we are providing more than 18,000 direct jobs to South African community. So we are like all the major Indian companies like Vedanta, Tata Motors, Mahindra, Jindal, Chemicals, Godrej, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Hetero Drug, Piramal, Sun Pharma, ICICI Bank, State Bank of India, Take Mahindra, Gensar. So many Indian companies are doing business in South Africa without any hindrance. You have already introduced about the spices of how much India is like the largest producer, consumer, and then, kind of exporter to its spices. So has been, nowadays the concept of, I want to tell the buyer, the concept of organic spices has come in. So, and also people wants that, okay, the spices should be organic, should be grown into a very, very sacred kind of environment. So that is also one of the big area where we can look into, and then we can tap the market. As India has always been pioneer in the spice market, we can also think of growing the organic spices, as the demand of organic spices in South Africa is increasing a lot. We produce more than 75 varieties of spices, which is like standardized by the ISO, and it's like we are the 50% market. We have the 50% market share in the spices. Global share, I don't know about South Africa. I don't have that figure. So as I told you, the area which uses the most of the spices imported from India is the Durban. Durban is the place which has the largest Indian community outside India in anywhere in the world. So those who are like thinking to export spices, they should also, Spice Board can also think of doing the buyer-seller meet with our Durban consulate, because they can tell you the more localized buyer there, and then it will be like beneficial, the direct trading who wants to do that. I can see the sellers are sending their messages that if you want to buy direct chili or direct something and all, so you should do one buyer-seller meet in Durban also. And South Africa is the major trading partner for the spices in the sub-Saharan region, with a total share of 50% of India's market, as I mentioned earlier. And we had already exported 18,276 metric ton, which was like 41 million US dollar. Apart from the spices, the essential oil and chilies, turmeric, coriander, and fenugreek and cinnamon are the major contributor in the spice export basket to South Africa. I wanted to raise one point to Spice Board of India, sir. If it is agreeable to you, you should consider doing a physical exhibition of spices and a physical processing of spices in South Africa. And then we will extend all the possible help, like booking of the venue, visa, facilitation, and all. We can do that. And that will give the kind of another boost and then take the spice trade between India and South Africa to the another level. I want to say one point, also assure the buyers who have registered today that if you want to visit India to see yourself the spices or the facility or the how they produce, pack, grow, and all these things. If you want to visit India, I'm sure the Spice Board will facilitate your visit. I can also facilitate your visit by providing you business visa urgently. So don't wait for the this opportunity. The opportunity already has knocked at your door. Please go and visit India. Please do the business with India because we are the most authentic business partner in the area of spices in the world. I welcome and appreciate the effort of Spices Board of India and then Secretary Mr. Sadian, who took this initiative in organizing this virtual buyer-seller meet on spices. And I also thank Tara, who persistently made me speak on this thing. They said, no, we are doing this buyer-seller meet. You have to speak, and then you have to encourage the buyer to go do the business with India. So this will help, I hope, that to directly connect with all the exporters and the importers. And I extend my full support and best wishes for the event. I hope that this is not our first and last event with the Spices Board of India. We are here to help you, any kind of support you seek. Like I said, that you can visit here physically. We can do some exhibitions. If you want a delegation from South Africa to visit the Spice Board of India or like facilities where they grow the spices, we can arrange that also. So we will work in coordination with you, sir. I thank you all for listening to me, and I hope that we will have a great presentations ahead, and then we'll have the great success to this buyer-seller meet. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. And thanks for all your support. And as you have suggested, we can organize many such events more frequently in the coming months and years. And we can organize a physical event considering the very strong presence of Indian diaspora in South Africa very soon. With the approval of the ministry, we will take the steps for that. And regarding the visit of a delegation from South Africa to India, I would like to present you with an opportunity in this year. In 2022, we will be in the fag end of this year, we will be organizing a mega event which we call as World Spice Congress, which is considered to be the largest of spice congregation specific to spice across the world. So it is a mega event which we used to organize once in 2 years, but due to the COVID situation, we couldn't organize the last designated event, which we will be taking it up this year during the last quarter of this year. And certainly we will be keeping the consulate at South Africa informed about this. And we would like, that would be presenting a perfect occasion to the delegation to visit and will maximize their purpose of visit. So this is our submission. Again, I would like to thank the strong support that we have been getting from the Consulate General's office at Johannesburg for all our export promotion initiatives aimed at South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. With this, we will move on to the technical session. I invite Mr. B.N. Jha, Director Marketing Spices Board, to make a presentation on Indian spice industry.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Madam Ms. Anju Ranjan, IFS, Consul General of India. Secretary Spices Board, Shri Satyan Sahab. Ms. Salamina Malayan, Ms. Director of Food Import and Export Standards, Department of Agriculture, Government of South Africa. Madam Mrs. Tara Patak, Council CGI Johannesburg, our importers and exporters friends, a greeting of the day and warm welcome to the virtual buyer-seller meet for Indian spices with focus on South Africa. I will be taking you through a short presentation for the spices exports and activities of the Spices Board. The Spices Board mandate was constituted by an act of the Parliament of India, the Spices Board Act 1986. It promotes and regulates export of 52 scheduled spices in any form, including curry powder, spice oils and olorogens and other mixes. Our mandate for production, research, domestic marketing and export promotion of cardamom, which is in a small and large form. Mandate for research, production and domestic marketing of spices other than cardamom is vested with the Union Ministry of Agriculture and concerned state agri and horticulture department and various universities. It performs the quality evaluation and control of spices for exports. We have our own mandatory testing provisions. If the commodities what are falling under the mandatory perspective are cleared for exports, then it gets into the container and exported across. The Spices Board is the designated competent authority for promoting and regulating spices exports from India by major importing countries, including European Union. The Spices Board has office network and quality evaluation laboratories, as well as the spices parks, the major production, processing and exports of spices in India, including Northeastern region. As you all know, India is the major producer of various spices, and our production is near to 10.45 million metric tons. We have a registered 7,000 network of spices exporters, and around of which 600 plus are the manufacturers exporters. Out of the total exports, 50% is almost in the form of value-added form. 20 of various spices are falling under GI registered spices. We have a strong domestic demand of 85% of total produce is consumed within the India, and the rest of the quality produce of 15% are exported across to the various countries. As already stated in various address, we are the #1 producer, consumer and exporter of spices. Next. Our total export in 2021 was in the range of 17.58 million metric tons, worth more than $4 billion, which was 16% of growth in rupees term, 11% in US dollar terms, and in volume we have grown by 37%. And it was and we have exported around 225 spices in various forms to around 180 countries. And the major spices were chili, mint, cumin, cardamom, ginger, pepper, turmeric, etc. Majorly to USA, China, Bangladesh, UAE, Thailand, UK, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, Germany, other European Union countries. And during the period of 2014 to 15 and the year 2021, we have a compound annual growth rate at the rate of 13% in value term. Next. A trade with South Africa. As you see, African region is one of the significant export destinations, and in the year 2021, India exported spices worth $80.95 million to the region, accounting to 2% in the total value of spices exported from India. And South Africa is the major trading partner for spices in the region, with a share of around 50% in India's total spice exports to the region. And in value term, we have exported around $42.14 million of various spices, including spice oils and olorogens, chilies, cumin, turmeric, coriander, curry powder, and other spices. Next. This is the depiction in a bar column. You can see that out of the total import of spices done from South Africa, it is in the range of $119 million, out of which India, we have exported $42.14 million. So India percent share is around 38.07% in quantity and 35.41% in value terms. And the major spices exported are cumin, then garlic, pepper, and others. The other spices, there is a lot of scope to further enhance its percentage. Next. And strategies, what it is adopted by us. Recently, we have launched a B2B platform 24/7. It's a Spicexchangeindia.com, the virtual platform which facilitates a B2B interactions and engage in formalizing in export orders for the benefit of the business. And global outreach program we have been conducting international buyer seller program for this year also, and this is our perhaps 10th buyer seller program. And our mandate is a pinch of spices for a bunch of benefits. As you also know that the spices, other than taste, color, flavor, it has also got a medicinal values, and it is highly used as an immuno booster world across. And during the COVID pandemic time, the major spices like turmeric and other spices, ginger, which helps in immuno boosting properties, our exports has almost double or triple in that particular spices segment. And we have a laboratory network across India to the extent of 8, and majorly they are near to the port areas. Kochi, that is in Kochi, Chennai, another in Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat, Delhi, and recently we have opened one in Kolkata, West Bengal, which has a very sophisticated equipments like LC-MSMS, GC-MSMS for testing various mandatory tests are carried out in these laboratories, other than the even the samples of the various spices given by the exporters. Next. So our mission is to sustain the leadership in global trade of spices and value-added spices products, contributing to the growth of agricultural exports from India. Mission is to become the international processing hub and the premier supplier of clean, safe, and value-added spices and spices products to the global spices market. With these words, thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Ms. Salamina Melaine, Director, Food Import and Export Standards, Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Government of South Africa, to make a presentation on import procedures to South Africa.
Ms. Salamina, you may please let us know if you would like us to project the PPT at our end, or if you would be doing it at your end.
Good afternoon, and I'm Salamina Mailani. Yes, please. I've sent the presentation to Tara to project for me. Noktula Tele will do the presentation. Thank you very much. Can the host please, they keep on muting us on the side. Can you hear me?
Yes. As I understand,
All right.
as I understand, you want us to project the PPT? Yes, we will.
Yes, please.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Noktula, you can proceed. You can introduce yourself and continue with the presentation. Thank you very much.
We are just sharing the screen. Please bear with us for a minute. Thank you.
Thank you. Please unmute Nokuthula Cele. You,
Okay. Can you repeat?
the host,
Can you repeat the name, please?
It's heard. Usually unmute.
and as it appears on the presentation, Nokuthula, oh yes, please unmute her.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nokuthula, you can take the floor.
Yeah, it's done.
It's done.
Hello,
Thank
good
you.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you so much. Apologies for that. I was just struggling to unmute. So my name is Nokuthula Cele. From the Directorate Food Import and Export Standards from the Department of Agriculture in South Africa. Next slide, please.
Next slide.
Yes, please, sir. Yes, so I'm gonna have a I'm gonna make a brief presentation, just focusing on these areas: the introduction, and then our legislative framework, import procedures, and then we'll focus on spices. Please go back. Yes, this one. Then the application process, the port of entry procedures, and contact information. Next, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our department, the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, is responsible for the management of risks associated with plant pests and diseases, amongst other things. And then the legislative framework in terms of controlling the plant pests and diseases is the Agricultural Pests Act 1983, known as the APA, and its subordinate legislations is amended. So we have Regulation R111 of 27 January 1984. Previous, please, previous slide. And then that provides for the importation of plants, plant products, and other regulated articles by means of an import permit. And then we have Government Notice R1013 of 26 May, which provides for the importation of controlled goods without a permit, but subject to the requirements in that notice. Next, please. Next slide, please, sir.
I'm done, ma'am.
It didn't change on my side. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the aim of the act is to provide for measures by which agricultural pests may be prevented and combated. And then there is the link where you can get the act if you'd like to read it. Next, please. I will try to be quick. So the exporters can just go on the links that I will provide to get more information. And then we will also give our contact information so that they can contact us for more information because of time. And so we get our back, please. Back. Previous slide, please. One more. Yes, this one. Thank you. So the legislative mandate, it comes from Section 3(1) of the Act, which basically states that a permit is required for certain commodities. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll speak briefly on import procedures. So the exporters of spices, as it has been indicated that India does export spices to South Africa, and trade has been ongoing. So I'm sure they are familiar with the procedure, but basically they must inquire with our office, which is the National Plant Protection Organization of South Africa, known as the NPPOZA. So they inquire with us whether a permit is required or not. Okay, then if a permit is required, they apply for an import permit if the commodity to be imported is not exempted in terms of the government notice R1013. So it means that that commodity requires a permit, or that spice requires a permit. And then they ensure compliance with the phytosanitary import requirements that must be complied with in case a permit is required in terms of a regulation R111. So the import permit will come with requirements that the exporters will have to comply with. So next, please. Next slide, please, sir.
1 second. Yeah, I think it's done now.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Then they forward a copy of the import permit to the exporter or the supplier in the exporting country. In this case, it will be India, to ensure that the consignment to be exported meets the import requirements of South Africa. So once you receive a permit from South Africa, a copy must go to the supplier in India so that they can make sure they meet our import requirements. Ensure that the exporter or supplier presents the commodity to be imported to the National Plant Protection Organization of the exporting country for phytosanitary inspection and certification when necessary in terms of the permit. So the requirements of our permits will specify what must be done in terms of if there's inspection required, or what the agricultural authorities of India must do to certify export. And then inform the exporter or supplier to send the original phytosanitary certificate with the consignment to South Africa. So when the shipment is being exported, when it arrives at our port of entry, we'll need to have the import permit, if it was required, together with the phytosanitary certificate, which would have been issued by the authorities of India. Next, please, sir. Okay, so now I'll just focus on spices, since this meeting is focusing on this. What is important to state on the application form is the exporter, do they want to bring fresh leaves, or is it dried? Is it seed, or is it powder? I will share the application and now just shortly. And then this is very important, please. I would ask Tara to please share this presentation so that you can have the links. This, I was talking about the government notice R1013, which provides for the importation of controlled goods without a permit, but subject to requirements in that notice. So this is the link. I would like the exporters to please click on this link, open the browser, click on this link. It's a regulation that will tell us all the products that may be imported without a permit, but it's subject to certain requirements. So you will open the document, you will go to page 80, from page 80 to 83. That is where it's focusing on spices, and it's item 19 in the document. So you open the document, you focus on item 19 from page 50 to 58. And that's where it talks about herbs, spices, and other parts of plants intended for medicinal, human, or animal consumption. Next, please. So again, the government notice, when you have opened the document, then it will list from A to Z all the spices that you can export to South Africa without a permit. But there's certain requirements. For example, the regulation, it has columns. On the left, it will be the commodity name, and then on the right, maybe it will say none. So none means that no phytosanitary certificate is required. So it means that commodity does not require an import permit from South Africa. And then India does not have to issue a phyto as well. So you can just export it without problems. And a D means the importer of a consignment of class of controlled goods concerned shall submit a declaration on a form obtainable from the executive officer for this purpose, in which he declares that such consignment is intended for immediate re-export or for purposes other than cultivation thereof in the Republic. Just to make an example, if you want to import mint, then there will be no additional declaration. If you want to import dried seeds for consumption, then what this declaration is saying, let's say, for example, you're importing dried seeds for consumption of a particular commodity, let's say cucurbita, for example. So when you get to the port, you will make a declaration to say that the seed will not be used for propagation purposes. For example, if you are importing herbs and spices, then at the port of entry, this is now in South Africa at the port, you will have to make a declaration that the consignment will only be used for human consumption or medicinal purposes. So this is the requirements that I'm talking about, that yes, you don't require an import permit to import the spice, but for example, but you must make a declaration that you won't plant it, it's not going to be for planting when it arrives, or it's for human consumption, etc. So I really would urge exporters to go through that notice, and then it will be easy for you to see what immediately you can export and what, if it's not on that list, then it requires a permit, or you just contact us for information. Next, please. So just briefly, the application process. So there's an application form that must be completed. That's the link for the form. And then the form must be sent to our central email, which is planthealthpermits@daura.gov.za. And the application must be submitted in advance, please, at least 30 days prior to export. And next, please. Next slide, please, sir. Thank you so much. So this is what the form looks like. So on the left is the description of controlled goods, and then the variety. So you will have to tell us, you know, you want to import rosemary, it is seeds, or is it fresh? Like I was saying, is it fresh? Is it dried? Is it seeds? Is it powder, right? That you will put under, in this form. It needs to be clear what you want to actually export. And our permit is valid for 1 year. So in terms of quantity, you need to more or less, you know, say in a year's time, how much do I think I will export? We do not restrict on quantity, because as a department, our focus is on risk. We're trying to control risks and diseases, you know, prevent the possible entry of. So it's not quantity. So the exporters can put quantity depending on, you know, how the business and all that. And then the foreign supplier, and then the port of entry, where you can put various ports, or you can specify, I will only use Durban Harbour if it's going specifically by sea to Durban, for example. Or you can fly it in, then you put Cape Town Airport, or whatever the exporter wishes to use. But it must also be noted that there are certain ports that are allowed and ports that may not be used. So again, but I think mostly because it's Indian spices, it will be Durban Harbour or King Shaka International Airport. But again, if it's going anywhere else and whatever other port, just you check with us and we'll advise. And then the purpose, like I said, is it for consumption? Is it for processing, etc.? And then at the bottom, the country of origin will be India. And then the applicant, we allow you to put your company's name, or you can export as an individual as well. And then the contact. And next slide, please. I think that's all. Next slide, please, sir.
I hope the next slide is visible. Can you please confirm?
No, next one from my side, it's still the old one.
Okay.
It's on, it takes time because of our network
Oh,
problem. Yes. It is
I
an
apologize
example.
for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this one is just an example of our import permit, what it would look like. The coat of arms, obviously. On top there, it will have the permit number. And so each permit will have a unique permit number. On the blank space there, it will be your company's, your company name and your address and your telephone number. And then in this instance, they were importing seed for planting. So in your case, it will be herbs and spices, etc. Next, please. Oh, and then obviously the stamp and the signature of the official. Okay, and that's the second page of the permit. Sometimes the permit can be 2 pages, which is fine. And then, like I was saying, the ports of entry must be indicated, and then it's valid for 1 year. So that is the, the date of validity, and then the signatures as well. It's important to note that, for example, if you put a certain port, let's say you put Durban, but now you want to use our Tambo, it will be a problem. So if you are not sure if you're gonna fly it in or you're gonna ship it by sea, you are advised to put various ports of entry on the application form, and then we'll put it on our permit. Next slide, please, sir. Okay, the procedures at the port. So the following must be presented to the executive officer at the port. It's your import permit that will be issued by our office. And then it's the phytosanitary certificate that will be issued by the Indian authorities. And then any other documentation. And next, please. Okay, so this is our contact information. My name is Noktula. I'm the Deputy Director, and that's my contact details. And Miss Christina Makhoba is the Chief Plant Health Officer, and that's her contact details. And then you can email me anytime if you have any queries. You email us. You email me to leanne@darat.gov.za, or you email planthealthpermits@darat.gov.za, and we'll assist you with any inquiry. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now, we will move on to the introduction and interaction with the importers from South Africa. I would like to request the importers who have joined us from South Africa, who are on board with us today, to please use the raise hand option in the WebEx platform so that we can invite you one by one. And once you speak, we request you Once you come forward to speak, we request you to please give a brief profile of your company. Highlight the spices which you trade in, which you are interested in, which you would like to source in future, so that the Indian exporters can take note of the same and get in touch with you post the event. Further, for company, we are making an event brochure capturing the details of all Indian exporters and as well as participants from South Africa in today's program, which we would be circulating from the board side to all the Indian exporters post this event. We would also share it with the consulate for circulating it to all the South African participants, so that the discussions, the linkage which has been initiated today through this program can sustain in future and culminate to effective business transactions. May I request the speakers from the participants from South Africa to please you make use of the raise hand option, so that we can hear from you. We can get your expert guidance on further bolstering the trade in spices between India and South Africa. Thank you. Okay. While we await the suggestions from the South African side, we would leave the floor open for few queries from the Indian exporters. You know that this would be the perfect platform to raise your queries. And from Spice Board side and the consulate side, we would like to address all possible queries today. And if some of your queries, which cannot be answered today, if there are some queries, the board would be taking note of the same, and we would work with the consulate to get a response. So I would like to invite exporters from India. If you have some specific queries, you may make use of the raise hand option, so that we can ask you one by one to speak. Yeah. For the benefit of participants, the raise hand option is available in the bottom tab of the screen and under the reactions heading, in which there is an option of raise hand. Maybe some changes in the Zoom interface. Earlier it used to be prominently visible, but we have also been noticing that just now. Yeah, I could see a raise hand.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, Mr. Sanjay.
Yeah, I'm from Teta Agro Private Limited, and we are into the organic food and organic spices, organic millets, and we have a just organic brand. I just want to know South Africa market, if in highlight or throw a light on the organic spices in South Africa. Am I audible?
Yes. You can you please repeat your question? Sorry, we had
So I wanted to know the scope of organic spices in South Africa. So is there any guidelines for export of organic spices in South Africa? And if can give you idea about the market potential?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Ma'am, as part of the inaugural address, I recollect our Consulate General enlightening us that organic products has got an immense scope in South Africa. But I would like to request the Madam Tara to throw more light on this query.
Well, there is definitely a market, but I don't have data as such as at present. But this is picking up, and moreover, this South Africa is gateway to other African countries also. So maybe I'll get back to you on this.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Sanjay, we would work with the consulate to collect these details and share it with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Ranjit B. Ravindran.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ranjit.
Yeah, Ranjit, please proceed.
We are representing a company called Adi Group. We are into spice exports. So my query is like now when we are exporting a spice, we need to have a plant quarantine certificate. For example, if the consignment is more than 100 kg, the customs comes and just take the random samples and do a PQ. Then the consignment goes to the destination port. There again, they do the PQ, plant quarantine certificate, then they release it. So this is what the latest rule which we happen to know about from the Spices Board. And according to my understanding, the same rule applicable for GCC, European Union, USA, Japan, and Australia. So do the same rules apply for South Africa? Because we would like to send cardamom and chili to South Africa. So if the same PQ is applicable, so do they also follow the MRL level of their country and do the pre-testing, dispatching testing and post arrival in their custom port or something, that testing, or can you brief me about that?
Hello, I think it was Department of Agriculture could have explained this better to you. And but I know that cardamom is being exported to South Africa, and from South Africa it is going to other other African countries also. So I think you can write to Ms. Sele, who made the presentation earlier, from Department of Agriculture of South Africa.
No, madam, I didn't get you, because the intention of coming on the webinar right now, we are starting up a spices park in Bangalore. Our objective is, because we also just heard that the APEDA, organic certification has got cancelled, and USFDA is against our spices products. So we what we do is we run a program called CPMP, Controlled Pest Management Program. It is some sort of an IPM in your chili. We do this into pepper and cardamom. So we have
Your voice is breaking.
We have around 1,000 odd farms DA MRL level. So 1 second, let me just connect to my iPhone, because
It's okay now.
Yeah, it's better now. Mr. Ranjit?
It's okay now.
Yeah, it's better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I
think I captured your point.
Yeah.
Like,
So the problem
on this, Mr. Ranjit, is one, we just had a PPT presentation from the Department of PQ, Government of South Africa, which is available with us, and we would be hosting it in Spice Board's website in a day.
Perfect. Sir. That gives answer to all my questions.
Okay. So as I have noticed, there are specific links in the PPT which to the applicable regulations in South Africa for export of spices. You may kindly peruse those links, and still, if you have got any further queries, you can write to the consulate general who have just shared their email ID in the chat box, of course, with Spices
Okay.
Board or in loop. And we together, we will take it up with the concerned authority in South Africa and get back to you.
Perfect, sir. Nice talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ranjit.
Yeah.
Miss Parul Mehta.
Very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Parul, representing L World Organic, and we specifically deal into organic products such as grains, oils, and spices. We welcome the inquiries from the importer of South Africa. Also, we would like to say that we will offer you very competitive prices and we'll try to vote the best for you. Namaste from India. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Miss Sanjeevani. Miss Sanjeevani.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, I have started this business since last 5 years, and for rural, it's actual for rural development. From my native place, there are many women. They don't have any work to do, and they have potential to do all these things, spices and means quality of spices. And that's why I have started this from 10 kg. Now I am selling my spices nearly 500 kg in a year. And all chilies and all spices are sun-dried, no chemicals added, no color added, no preservative added, all are sun-dried and all are wood-fired roasted. And I'm giving this opportunity to eat many of women from my native place. And they are also happy with everything, and my clients are also happy. And if I get opportunity for a South African country, I will be more and more happy to do the business with you all.
Thank you, Ms. Sanjeevani. We would, I'm sure, this platform would help you to further strengthen the trade ties. And I would request you to make use to take note of the contacts of South African importers. Once the brochure is made available in Spice Board website, and further take up establishing and strengthening business ties with the country.
Okay,
now,
thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, there's someone who has raised a hand from iPhone 11 Pro. Unless and until I don't get the name of the person, I would not be able to invite him. So the respective participant who has raised the hand, who has the screen name as iPhone 11 Pro, you may please come forward, introduce yourself, and then speak.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Hi, good day. So my name is Rina from 360 Living in Cape Town. And just like to update everyone that there's a huge organic and wellness market, and especially with foods itself. I'm very much directly involved with that. So I would welcome any queries on that level. But I also want to just take advantage of this lovely forum and inquire from the Indian side whether a forum like this can be raised as well with the Department of Animal Husbandry and the South African government, as I've been trying to create a link with the A2D. And I know this is a plant and spice forum, but I was just thinking if there's any connection, that would be wonderful if somebody could link me up with that.
Miss Reena, that is a different department in India.
Yes.
And if you wish, you can write to us. We will try to arrange a biosimilar meet like this with them also.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. To add on to Ms. Tara's remarks, this is dealt by Agriculture Products and Export Development Authority. This export of meat and allied products it's dealt by a counterpart of Spices Board, and a sister concern, I should say, of Spice Board, the APEDA, who would be able to guide you further, of course, in coordination with the consulate. Thank you. Now, moving on to Naresh Narasimhan. Mr. Naresh?
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So this question to you, Mr. Nitin Jo. So I've been noticing from the last 2 sessions, like even in Vietnam and in South Africa. So we have been emphasizing more on spice oils. Because down south, I am from Archie Group. We are based in Chennai, South India. So could you please emphasize more on like what is spice oils and those kind of details, so that we can also get into those kind of products as well as an NPD for the year. Could you please enlighten on spice oil and what are those used and their usage and everything. Mr. Joe, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Naresh. In brief, I'll take this question. Spice oils and oleoresins are high-end value-added products from spices, for which also India holds very strong capacities. As such, India, as I recall, is the largest producing base for spice oils and oleoresins, which are extracted using state-of-the-art technologies, the supercritical fluid extraction, the steam distillation, as well as various other technologies. Also, the extracts from spices who falls under the category of high-end value-added products, wherein the intrinsic properties of the specific spice is extracted commercially and is supplied to various international buyers for diverse applications. By diverse applications, I mean applications other than in the food sector, like medicinal properties, the nutraceutical sector, the cosmeceutical sector, in the cosmetics, and even in natural colors, which are used in spices. So further details on the export of oils and oleoresins can be captured from the board's website. Here, the state of Kerala, wherein the board is headquartered in, has quite a few spice oils and oleoresin manufacturers, and not just Kerala. This is spread across India. So, Mr. Naresh, that was my understanding about your question. Please do let me know if you meant something else.
Oh no, that's the exact thing what I was looking for, because we are the manufacturers of blended spices, whole spices, and pure spices. So last 2 meetings, I can see people presenting more of a spice oil. So I thought I can just get in some information on that. And one more thing, how big is the market for spice oils majorly in Asia Pacific and South Africa?
I do not have the market-wise bifurcation right now with me, but going by last year's export figures, after Chile, spice oils and oleoresins contributed the largest to India's export value. So with that, I'm talking last year, as we know, we exported somewhere around $4,184 million worth spices and spice products. Chile was the highest contributor, and the second next was spice oils and oleoresins. So around, as I presume, spice oils and oleoresins contributes to around 15% in value, in total value of India's spice exports.
Okay, sure. No, that's a good food for thought, Mr. Tin. Thank you so much for the info. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Naresh.
Thank you.
Anyone else from? I would like to request the participants from South Africa, if any of you would like to interact, may please come forward, use the raise hand option and please come forward. All right. In the meanwhile, we from Spice Board side, we would like to present before all the participants, the exporters and the importers, a novel initiative of the board, a platform launched by Spices Board, which was developed by Spice Board, which was launched last month by the Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industries, Sri Srom Prakash. This platform, this portal provides a platform for the Indian exporters to connect with the global buyers, importers from across the globe, and comes with artificial intelligence-based matchmaking provisions. In this platform, the exporters can set up their individual stores, which can be visited by the foreign buyers. Further interactions can be facilitated through the platform. So we will take you through a brief video about the Spicexchange India portal. Even interested importers can visit the portal and get connected with the Indian exporters of spices and spice products. Over to the video now.
Spice Board India now leads the global spice route. Welcome to our virtual marketplace for India's spice exporters with exclusive benefits. Get access to thousands of importers from around the globe. Explore global markets in real time from the comforts of your 24/7 virtual office with our smart AI-driven platform shortlists, suggests and connects you with most relevant importers from around the world. Grow your business across continents with real-time translations, video and chats too. Get access to key forecasts, trends, import data. Spicexchangeindia India is your one-stop digital gateway to the world of spice. For limitless spicy benefits and limitless opportunities, subscribe today.
Yeah. I could see 2 more raised hands, and with that, we might wind up the interaction session. So, Ms. Rashmi Haribat.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Please proceed.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
I'm audible. Yes. Okay. Okay.
You are
yes.
You are
yes.
audible, but there's a lot of background noise. It might happen,
okay.
And this might happen generally when you are logged into multiple devices on the same room. If you are logged into more than one device, may please log out of one and use only one device. Thanks.
Okay. Yes, I'm Rashmi Haribat, living in South Africa since past 13 years, actually. And actually, this is a very useful form. We need more organic products from India here. And can you please arrange more like this? And thanks for arranging it, and let us work together and keep in touch. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rashmi, for the encouraging words. From Spice Board side, we would definitely, as informed earlier by Secretary Spice Board as well as the Consul General, we would definitely be continuing our engagement with Consulate General of Johannesburg to organize similar programs, not just online, but also in physical form at both ends. Further, from our side, we would share with you a list of major organic spice exporters from India to the consulate, which can further reach you. And you can make use of the list and get in touch with them to discuss business. Thank you. Now, Mr. Rajat Agarwal.
Yeah, hi, this is Rajat Agarwal from F&F International. I have a question to the Embassy and Spice Board. Like if we export any material, any spice like cardamom to any country, and the importer doesn't accept the container, what are the actions or what are the support we can get from the embassy and the spice board regarding that?
Whenever you are doing trade with any South African company, please get the credentials of the company verified with us. Many a times this has happened, what you are saying. Once the fraud has happened, there's hardly anything you can do. You can just write emails to them or try to get in touch with them. So even before entering into this contract or entering into trade with any company, please get the credentials verified with us.
Ma'am, we had verified the credentials and we were doing business with that. Unfortunately, we were doing business with them for the last 8 to 10 years, but this time the party has defaulted. So in what way the embassy can help us?
Have you written
Is
to
there
us?
any protocol for that?
Have you written to us?
Yes, ma'am. No, it didn't happen in South Africa. It happened in China.
Even if it has happened in China, you have to write to the embassy there, and you have to give all the details. They will take it up with the concerned importer.
We did that, ma'am, but we have not got any response from the embassy, ma'am, regarding that, and we have done that around 4 to 5 times, in fact.
Yeah,
I don't know if the embassy is not answering.
In this case, Mr. Rajat,
not an issue.
Mr. Rajat, please keep Spice Board also in loop, because the board, we have been working very closely with the Embassy of India in Beijing, China, particularly to address some of the recent regulations imposed by the Chinese customs, the GSEC.
Right, sir.
Of export houses, and the embassy has been quite proactive in facilitating exports of spices from India to China. So I would request you to forward that email to us. So
sure, I'll do that. I'll do that. Thank you.
We can also, though we cannot assure a solution or propose a time period at this moment. As you know, this involves various parties in different countries. But from our side, definitely we can take it up once again with the embassy and seek their assistance.
Right. Thank you. Thanks a
You
lot.
can also write to the Chinese embassy in Delhi.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
What next? Varshini Exim.
Spice board ko likh do.
Anyone from Varshini Exim? Right. I'll move on to the next person. That's again, I could only grab the phone name, iPhone. So the person who has raised the hand, you may please unmute and speak.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you so much for this platform, for allowing us to communicate with each other. I'm Urvashi Gopal. I represent SAI Ind Agro Importers in South Africa. We have been importing products from India for several years, almost over 10 years now. We would like to focus on importing mainly spices, as well as cardamom, cinnamon, black pepper, and our main focus would be on whole spices, and then obviously getting the spices to South Africa to blend them in South Africa with machinery from India, so we could obviously offer a better service here in South Africa. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure the Indian exporters who are on board have taken note of your comments and would get in touch with you shortly, for which I would like to request, if not already done, you may share your contact details in the chat box. Thanks.
Edith, thank you so much. That's all from me. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day to you too. Mr. Hardik Garg.
Greetings, Councillate ma'am. Greetings, Nitin. Greetings, Spice Board team. Am I audible?
Yes, please proceed.
I'm Hardik Garg from Param Kesar, and we deal into Kashmiri saffron, and the quality which we use is the greatest and the rarest in the world. So my question is about the awareness and the potential market of saffron in South Africa. Can I get some details about the saffron? How much people know about the saffron in South Africa, and what is the potential market for saffron, Kashmiri saffron particularly?
I think our importers present here, they might be able to throw some light on this.
Okay.
Ms. Urvashi?
I didn't get you, ma'am, sorry.
Ms. Urvashi, who spoke just now?
Okay. Okay, I got you, ma'am. That is it from my side. Thank you.
Sorry, could you repeat that? My network went off for a bit.
He's asking about the market of saffron and how much people are aware about the saffron in South Africa.
Okay, there is quite a huge market in South Africa and a huge demand. So if you could send me a, yes, definitely. If you could send me a direct message for SAI in Agro, Urvashi Gopal, and then we can connect with each other and take it forward.
Surely, I'm I'm messaging you directly on this chat, and let's just take this forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. With this, we will wind up the interaction session. Thank you, the participants from India and South Africa, for the fruitful interaction. As informed, I urge you to take forward these interactions with a view to culminate into effective business transactions by using the details available in the brochure, which would soon be released by the board as well as the consulate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Ma'am, now I invite Ms. Tara Padak, Consulate General of India, Johannesburg, to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Madam Anju Ranjan, Ms. Padma Ganesh, Ms. Salamina Melane, and other participants present here. As everyone before me has already said, there are immense opportunities within the market. And with an increase in demand for healthier foods, the demand for spices has also been positively impacted. Moreover, South Africa is a gateway to other African countries. This Biosolium meet has been conducted with the joint efforts of Consulate General of India and the Spices Board of India. We would like to convey our sincere thanks to Mr. D. Satyan, Secretary, Spices Board, Mr. Nitin Jo, Deputy Director, and other officials in the Spices Board with whose initiative this meet has been made possible. Many thanks to Mr. Basist Nayan Jha, Director Marketing, Spices Board, for making such a useful presentation on the spices industry scenario in India. Special thanks to Ms. Padma Ganesh, Deputy Secretary, Department of Commerce, for joining us. Our special thanks to Ms. Salamina Melane, Director, Food Import and Export Standards, Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Government of South Africa, who on my request was able to make the presentation on import requirements and procedures on spices at such a short notice. I would also like to convey my personal gratitude to Her Excellency Mrs. Anju Ranjan, Consul General of India in Johannesburg, under whose leadership and guidance we were able to organize this BSM. Lastly, we thank all exporters and importers who made this program a success. Hopefully, this would be helpful for you to tie up with relevant trade partners and will lead to an increase in India's South Africa trade in spices. For any other queries, you can write to me at ccom.jberg@nea.gov.in. The presentation made by the Department of Agriculture will be shared by Spices Board with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, before we log off, I would request all the participants to turn on your board video so that we can have a screenshot. Okay, thank you. Thank you all once again for joining us. We hope to further strengthen the trade between in spices between both India and South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
त्याला सगळं पाहिजे मी. नितीन श्रीनिवास या स्पाइस बोर्ड वरचा होता. पण श्रीनिवास ना, नितीन श्रीनिवास का नुसता श्रीनिवास.